Interviews by Zoom with Sherry Elise. She goes by America's Magnet. And this morning we are so excited that she is in person, just freshly off a speech in Syracuse.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here with you both.
We are so happy
excited to have you here too. You're talking about spring cleaning our beliefs, which we need. We need a good cleansing.
We might need an all-season
Yes.
clean.
I think so.
Yeah.
It's 2 years. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, it has been a long 2 years. And I think for all of us, I mean, even, people think America's Joy Mag, they're like, she's happy all the time.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm challenged too. We all are. We're human.
Right.
But it's really about just clearing out some of that stuff and just finally letting it go.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I wanted people to understand your background and where you're coming from, if you didn't mind sharing, because you have endured a lot. And I know you've talked to us about it before.
Yeah, I come from a history of childhood sexual abuse at 7 years old, and actually on a witness stand. I share that very openly at 7, prosecuting the man. And so I spent like many years really just having to face that and those emotions that come with anyone who's a trauma survivor, and really just not wanting to be the victim of that. But when you choose to not deal with your feelings at all, I went the complete other route. Like, I'm strong, I'm gonna do, all of this. Those feelings creep back up.
Yeah.
So it's really just been this journey of coming back to myself and really being able to not only embrace those feelings, like it's okay to be hurt, it's okay to feel devastation, but then also be able to lift myself back up and realize that I'm not any of those things that I thought I was.
Is that one of the things people struggle with? I think a lot of people are like, I want to confront these feelings, but a lot of people don't want to sit with them. And part of it is sitting with those feelings, recognizing them for what they are, and that they're not necessarily going to ever go away, but they're part of who you are, and you can manage them.
That's huge. I think all of us run. I mean, we all try to stay busy all the time because we don't want to sit with our feelings. Technology, right? Like binge watching Netflix, shopping, all of that, because we've been hurt before, right? And we know sometimes that inside there is pain there. So who wants to sit with pain? So it seems much easier to, deflect from it, but it always returns. And I always tell people, like, if you honestly just take the time to sit with it, you'll realize that it's a lot easier to actually go through than to continually run.
So what did you do to kind of just turn things around where you've become essentially who you are, where you're really a cheerleader for others? You help so many people. What was that defining moment for you where you're like, I'm gonna deal with these emotions or what I'm feeling, but also look onward and upward?
Honestly, I was really tired, meaning that I was running from them so much and trying to find like my joy and my happiness through relationships with men. I was trying to stuff it down with food. I was career, achievements, accomplishments. And no matter what I did, it still wasn't enough. And so when I finally realized, okay, you've gotten all the things you thought were gonna make you happy, maybe we need to turn inward instead of looking outward. And so I started doing the work within and really sitting with my emotions, and that really was the turning point that was like, all right, we got to deal with this stuff.
It's almost like hitting a wall, right? You're doing all these things at once, trying to get somewhere where you think you're going to be happy, but you hit this wall and recognize, wait, I've got to deal with some internal stuff to truly be happy.
Yeah. I had this defining moment, though, because you asked that, and it's going to sound silly, but I was scrolling through social media, and there was all this love coming at me, people saying, you're so inspirational and all this, and I remember just being there and feeling numb. And this was everything I thought I wanted, like adoration, because I didn't feel that for myself. And there it was right in front of me, and I felt nothing. And I thought, this love can't come from anywhere outside of you.
It come from you.
Yeah.
Talk about that self-worth, because that's a huge aspect of this for people. Feeling worthy with who you are right now in this moment.
Well, we can't continually look for it. It's like, because like I just said, you will always be seeking it. And until you sit with it and realize, okay, I'm worthy because I draw breath. I'm worthy because I was born. I'm worthy because I'm supposed to be here. And that's hard for people to see when you've had extenuating circumstances like trauma. And those were the beliefs that I had to start to work with.
Yeah, I feel convicted in my soul right now. It's true. I think I think about our industry and what we do, and we kind of seek those affirmations, but it's only going to come from within. You know, where does someone start? How do they get to that place? You talked about looking within instead of looking outward to seek what they're looking for. Where does someone start? Is it journaling, writing down affirmations until they believe that, you know, I am worthy?
I think those are great for people. I think everyone's individual. I don't think that there's, you know, a one size fits all. For me personally, and the things that I've helped my audiences and clients with is really just starting with asking yourself, how are you doing? The first thing we do when we see people that we love, we inquire, we worry, we want to know what's going on, but we don't do that with ourselves. And then listen, right? Like to say, how are you feeling today? And well, I'm frustrated. Well, what's going on? It's that extension of self-compassion.
Yeah.
And that's been the most transformational and powerful work that I've done.
I love that you said asking a friend or a family how they're feeling, how they're doing, because when you put it in that perspective and then you look back and say, do I do this for myself? Most people would say no.
No.
So we're going to continue this conversation too. I want to also talk about with you, if we can, kind of mindfulness about thinking about our emotions and feelings and being able to step back and look at what we're feeling and kind of recognizing it, which is also, I think, a challenge for so many people.
I'm so glad you stopped
forward.
by. I love these couches. I feel like we're in therapy.
Yes.
And we need it.
Yeah.
I do too. We all do. We're human. Yeah.
Cleaning our lives.
It's such a great conversation.
Yes.
It's going to continue. America's Joy Magnet, we're so glad you're here, first of all. We were talking about spring cleaning our beliefs, and we kind of ended the last segment. I wanted to talk about mindfulness with you, because I think part of spring cleaning our beliefs is taking a step back, looking at our emotions, our feelings, and recognizing which ones are not serving us. But it's very easy to kind of get into that negative cycle of reinforcing beliefs that don't help us.
Right. I mean, we all want to be right. And it's very easy to, once you have a belief, to then go look for evidence that supports your belief. And our brains are naturally hardwired to do that because we want predictability. We seek patterns, we seek comfort. And even though our comfort zone is not really comfortable most of the time, it seems much easier to stay there because we know it. We know what to expect. I always say it's like an old security blanket, you know, that's tattered and torn and filled with holes. It doesn't keep you warm anymore, but you've become attached to it and you know where those holes are.
Wow. Wow, sit with that.
But it's true, like we have this idea of comfort in our heads, and we're comfortable in certain feelings that may not be serving us, but we find a sense of comfort even though the discomfort of actually addressing those is better for us.
Absolutely. We need to address all of our beliefs. And for me, I remember it was this idea of, well, what if what you believe isn't actually true? What if we're only looking through a sliver of the entire pie? Like, could there be possibilities out there? When I was deep in my trauma and low self-worth, all of that, I actually had to start thinking, could it really be true that I was meant to suffer, me out of everybody in the world? Like, am I supposed to struggle? And so I had to start questioning my own beliefs, just as simple as, are you right or wrong? And I often tell people, what about instead of seeking evidence to prove that your limiting beliefs are right, how about disproving them? Go and find evidence that says maybe you are worthy.
Right. It depends on the narrative that we tell ourselves in our head. So I know you've got a book that's titled Love Yourself Happy. How do we do that? What's the first step to do that?
You accept all of your emotions. That's the actual spin in my book, is that we can't be happy all the time. I'm not happy all the time, but we have this thing where we fight that we have to be, and then we beat ourselves up when we're not. And I feel joy and joy really comes from the acceptance of all of our emotions, to say we're human. It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be all of that. And when we give ourselves permission to do that, that's where I feel joy rises.
One thing that resonates with me is the idea that to struggle is to be human. And all of us struggle. It doesn't matter where you are in life, and it may be different than other people, but it is okay to recognize that struggle. And not just okay, it's important to do that, right?
Absolutely. I'm gonna keep saying we're human. Like, there isn't one of us that doesn't struggle at something. There's a difference between those struggling and suffering. You know, struggle is, this is challenging, I wanna fix it, why am I going through this? But then also the suffering comes in where it's never gonna get better. It's all of those beliefs in that play, the negativity over it. But struggling is a normal thing for us. It's part of actually compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion is made up of being able to struggle with and sit with yourself and with others.
Yeah,
Yeah.
self-compassion is huge.
Yes.
Huge.
That was my game changer.
So for people who follow you, you have a big following on social media, you have a huge social media presence, you're an author as well, you give these wonderful TED Talks and you impacted so many people. I think people like, and you addressed this in our last segment, people look at you as, oh, you're full of joy, you never have a bad day, but we know you're human, which we've been talking about, that's not true. Walk us through a typical day for you. How do you start your day? How can we, maybe take note of how to start our day so that we try to start off on the best foot as possible?
So I'm human, as we said. I've said this quite a few times because I think we do people a disservice when we act like we only feel a certain way, and even motivational people, they're always, no. Like, for me, it's accepting. So I start the day off always. Well, first, my thought is I want to pick my phone up, and then I say, no. So I pause, and I put my hand on my heart, and I feel that, and I always just say thank you. And
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
That is the easiest, the simplest. There's always time for that. No matter how busy in the morning you are, you can go to the bathroom and get ready, and while you're brushing your teeth, look at yourself in the eyes and say, thank you. You're taking breaths. So for me, it starts with that, and then I take morning hikes every day because nature is the most healing of anything. And for me, being in that sense of awe, seeing a sunrise, hearing the birds, that for me, before the day starts to go, it puts me in that calm.
I wish we could do that.
Well, yeah.
We're up at like
2:30 in the morning. There's no
sorry.
hiking with our hours.
Sorry.
But you can see we're jokesters as well.
Yeah, no.
We've got about, I think, a minute or so left, but I want to hit on, if we can quickly, you talked about gratitude. One of the issues I think a lot of people deal with, especially in social media, is comparison. We're always comparing ourselves to others and what we see as the reality for other people, which just, it's not helpful. But comparison is just in our nature, too.
Right.
Right?
Well, I say, what about be inspired by those that you see that, because I keep saying it, I'm human, but I am. Like, I see other people that are speakers that are further ahead in their career, and I used to, like, why can't I get that?
Right.
And now I look at it and go, what are they doing? What are they doing to have gotten to where they are, and use them as inspiration?
Right. Yeah.
The truth is, and why I keep doing the work that I do and keep saying I'm human, is because I want people to know that we are all working through this thing called life.
We have 30 seconds. Where can people find you if they want to follow you, reach out to you?
Instagram, Sherry Elise, Facebook, Sherry Elise, website, sherryelise.com. I'd love to talk
I want
to
more time with you. I don't want this to end.
This was not enough segments.
I'll come be a co-host.
I love that idea. Come on.
You're hired. You
I
have
don't
to
know
come
if my
visit
fiance
us
from
again.
LA would be like, we're moving
We're
to
not
Rochester.
hiking at 2:30 in the morning, Sherry.
Oh, right.
That's where we draw the line.
Okay.
Sherry
Fair
Elise,
enough.
thank you so much. Local headlines coming up next.